Okay, good morning and welcome. I think we will go ahead and get started. We're so glad that all of you could join us. I'm sure there might be a few more that trickle in as we go, and that's just fine too. So for a second, I will stop the screen share so that we can have the video going. And welcome. So this is our first attempt at doing a Mission Forward workshop virtually. I see lots of familiar names on the list of participants. So that's wonderful. We're so glad to have the usual suspects. So those are the people that join us from our charitable venture sponsored projects, as well as the different organizations that make up the Village workspace. So as much as we miss seeing you all in person, we are so glad to have you here with us virtually. Thank you for your patience. I know that I didn't get that password out to many of you until sort of the 11th hour, but we're learning on our feet. That said, I will be sharing my screen shortly. We'll go over the agenda a little bit, and we have a really amazing lineup for you today. We're so excited about this. We've been hearing from a lot of you that there are concerns about what do we do now? We've certainly all been affected by this pandemic. It's this virtual workshop and so many of us at home. And so we really wanted to take this opportunity to address that and to share with you not only some really amazing information from Dana Bakic, our guest speaker, who is a consultant in this arena, but also from several of your peers who will make up our panel that they've actually put this into practice and really done some amazing things virtually in terms of fundraising and events for their organizations. So I think we're going to have a really amazing workshop. Thank you again for joining us. Your video and your audio are off as you join in. You can unmute yourself. So when there is time for a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and chime in. Or you can also use the chat feature to ask your questions that way. So thanks again. Let me go back to the screen share option so that we can have a little look at the agenda. Okay, and I will just hope somebody will holler at me if you're not actually seeing the screen. So, okay, and away we go. Okay, so welcome. Like I said, this is our very first socially distanced Mission Forward workshop. It does not align with the original calendar that we had. We had a beautiful calendar lined up for the topics for 2020, and unfortunately, COVID happened. So today, instead, we're going to pivot. We're going to talk about, like I said, the virtual and events and fundraising and how to do things remotely and what that means for your organizations. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce our special guest speaker. She comes to me highly recommended. I know that if you are on here as one of our census partners, because we do have an expanded audience this time around, that you have actually heard her speak before. We've only heard just glowing, wonderful things about the information that she shares. So I'm really excited. And Dana, please feel free to take it away. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that kind introduction. Can you guys all hear me okay?
Oops. Sorry, everyone. Trying to stop that share.
Hope you're all good. Are we on for audio? We're going to use the chat feature a lot today for some feedback. So everybody just give me a yes, I can hear you, a virtual thumbs up. Amazing. Awesome. Great. Thank you guys. So we are going to hear you clearly. I love it. Thank you. I have sneakily off camera, I do have a microphone. So we'll talk about some equipment later, but I always take it off the screen because it's kind of big and bulky. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And you guys let me know, similar to what other Dana said, two Danas. Let me know if you guys, I'm going to go ahead and put this into presentation mode. Can everybody see this title screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Amazing. So I'm going to try and make sure that I can also see the chat. Perfect. Amazing. Great. Thank you guys. So today's conversation, and I'm really excited if anybody here is from the census, from the OC conversation we talked about, this is going to be a little bit different. So we're really going to dive into talking about how to share stories, specific messaging, and some information about virtual fundraising to generate donations. And something I like to bring up first is to clear your space. So if you're anything like me, I usually have a bazillion tabs open. I normally have my phone here. I actually have, I'm going to try and concentrate. My dog is in this crate in front of me. I got a quarantine puppy. So in case you hear some weird sounds, that's Malo. But clear your space. This time is for you. It's to learn. Try and remove any distractions. And then secondly, mindset. So we all are coming from different places. Our organizations might be a team of 1, or we might be a team of 20. We might have a budget of $100, or we might have a budget of multi-millions of dollars. It doesn't matter. Right now, during this session, everything we talk about, the mindset is, I can do this. I got this. Or I can bring somebody on to help me do this, right? So regardless, today, everything we talk about, I want you to feel empowered and excited that you can rock this. So I'm year 3 into running my own business, Positive Equation, and I truly believe this statement. I believe that positive stories of change can transform our world to be a better place. So I try and help nonprofits cultivate a really passionate audience online of donors, advocates, volunteers, and supporters. And speaking of positive stories, has anybody seen some good news by John Krasinski? In the chat, give me a yes, give me a no. Let me know if you've watched any of these episodes on YouTube. Love it every week. Yes, he is incredible. And I think what's so great about John Krasinski is he professionally, obviously, is a director and an actor. But if you watch his videos on YouTube, these videos are in his home. The SGN logo that he put together is drawn by his kids. He sits his phone and laptop up on printer paper, and he's using his iPhone to film. This is basic. He has a ring light that you can get on Amazon. Nothing about what he's doing is professional grade quality. But what it is it's positive stories. I watch these, and at the beginning, he tells multiple stories of just humans doing good in the world, and I want to cry. And then he goes into his program, and then you're laughing because it's comical. Obviously he has an incredible base of personalities that he brings on, but if you have not watched it, this is just one example of amazing content. You can see here, when I pulled this, there was 4.4 million views. That's over 5 million. So just saying, people want to see entertaining and funny content right now. 2 main things to consider. So a little bit of background on myself and why am I here and why in the world should you listen to me? I've had a very interesting career. I actually just interviewed, I did a Facebook Live yesterday with my first boss, Lisa Bechtold from Take Stock in Children. So I worked for a nonprofit straight out of college back in 2010. And then I left for New York City, did the big agency world, worked with Delta Airlines and Sports Illustrated and the USO, NASCAR, PGA Tour, Fox Sports, incredible brands. But after doing that for a while, it all came back to, I really wanted to feel connected and feel a passion and purpose for the work that I was doing. So then I transitioned into working for nonprofits and purpose-driven businesses, basically companies that I felt were doing something positive in the world and sharing those positive stories. So one unique experience was last season, I was a digital producer on American Idol. If anybody has watched that show during the past 20 plus years that it's been on air, that was an incredible experience. I've worked with Movember, running their North America digital campaign. They are the largest, and I think the only global men's health charity. So they work, they're the mustache company during November where everybody grows a mo, and they raise funds and awareness for prostate cancer, testicular cancer, mental health, and suicide awareness. Many other great clients that I've worked with, but I've been very fortunate to work on multiple consulting campaigns, kind of a coach to their internal teams. And then this pandemic, as Dana mentioned, has truly affected us all. Lisa earlier pinged me privately asking about my wedding. I was supposed to get married on April 3rd in Puerto Vallarta in Mexico with 50 people. And 2 weeks before that is kind of when this all blew up. So we had to postpone. And during that postponement, I decided to get a puppy. So we were right at the beginning, and my fiance was like, Dana, that's a very emotional decision. And I was like, this whole thing is emotional, right? So now we have Malo. So if you hear some little barkings, that's coming from right in front of me. Our wedding is now going to be domestic in October, and I'll share a photo for you guys because I think we found a pretty cool venue spot, and everybody's been lovely. So we're all pivoting during this time. So what are we talking about today? 3 main things. 1, this is so key. You need to understand how to create digital strategies that align with your business goals. Because what this does is it allows you to then say to your board of directors or to sponsors, anybody who you're having to prove some sort of ROI to say, this digital strategy completely parallels with this business goal and we saw return. So therefore, yes, let's continue to put this person, to keep them hired or to continue doing paid, anything like that. 2, we're going to talk about what does messaging look like and how do you share your story right now. And then 3, I think a topic that we are all very familiar with. Let me know in the chat if you have had to cancel any sort of event. Let me know. And if so, let me know what it was. Was it a gala? Was it a golf tournament? Was it a happy hour? Anything, let me know. And we're going to talk about 2, something new, which is digital sponsorship opportunities. And I will give you a worksheet to actually kind of work through that together. So let me know also if you're on the left-hand side. If you're kind of unsure where to start, scrambling to find the right tools and systems, and I think this is a big one. I've talked to a lot of nonprofits and EDs, and a big part is risk averse or just overall intimidated. Board of directors intimidated by the digital world, and will our donors respond? Yes, I love this. A gala was moved, a golf tournament, a fashion show. I love that that's going to be online. That's amazing. Orchestra concerts. Yes. So it's thinking about how do we transition these events to virtual and still make them really impactful. So by the end of this session, I want you to feel super confident to start brainstorming your own plan. 2, feel like I've shared some really good tools that you can take immediately and go research. And 3, say, yeah, we're innovative. We're doing something new. We're doing something fresh, and we're ready to rock and roll. So first thing, right? You have to understand what your business goals are to align the right social media metrics. You need a direct correlation. So we're going to break into some mini 2-minute timed working sessions here. So either on a piece of paper in front of you or through the chat, and I love it when you do it in the chat because I think it helps us all communicate. Give me 1 to 2 business goals that you have in the next, call it 3 to 6 months. So a short term, I feel like we can't even look long term too much right now. 3 to 6 months. What are 2 business goals? And I'm literally going to put a timer on. So take your time and think it through and try and be very specific. So have it be, if you're saying we want to increase our reach and awareness, that's great, but by how much? What would be a great goal? Or saying we want to fundraise. Okay, give me a number. I said, yep, Mary, thank you. Anthony. Great, love this example. We have a campaign we're calling Bridge Builders, funding to bridge the gap of our golf tournament, $300,000 to cover 3 months. Business goal, having the board more involved. Awesome. So I would say to that point, how many members or what does it look like for them to get more involved? What would that mean for them to do? The individual donor base. Love it, Sandy. So Sandy, I would say, what does that mean? Is that a specific number? Is it a number of people and is it a number of donations? Great increase donor retention rates to over 50%. Awesome. Cool. These are great, you guys. So think about those. And then this is such a great visual to screenshot. So on the right-hand side, it says business impact. So these are what we talk about all the time. So this is your share of voice, your top of mind awareness, your visitors, your traffic to your website, conversions, all common language. And then the next kind of column over is social KPIs. So these are what you need to get socially an increase in order to reach that business impact. So this is a great printout to have in your office when you're brainstorming your strategy and you say, okay, if I go all the way to the left, think about the buyer's journey as a donor's journey, right? Same thing. What are the content buckets that you need to get people from creating awareness the first time they've ever seen your cause? Because the first time somebody sees your cause, most likely they're not going to donate. It's going to take some consideration, a decision, adoption, they've donated, and then they're an advocate, right? So you think about the different content, the different goals to bring people all the way through that journey. Yes, I will share this presentation with the team so that they can send it to you guys. And I'll take off the, the little graphics so that you guys don't have that on your side. So that's business objectives. Moving on to messaging, because we're going to have another little workshop here. On the right-hand side is this inverted pyramid. And so I break this down into what I call creating a positive equation. So always at the forefront, it's being 100% about your purpose. So knowing what are your key objectives. 2, know your community. Who are you talking to, right? Does your messaging relate to those people? This is very, very common. If you look at any copy of a social post, would you take action? Would you do something? Are you relating to someone? I've actually, in the OC session, we talked about for the OC census is what I'm talking about. There was a great organization, and I'm going to blank, but it was focused on single moms, and they're trying to get people to take the census, right? So they had this beautiful image, and I changed the copy to be talking about how many times have you watched Frozen, right? So immediately that grabs the attention of your viewer because they get that. They're a mom. They're like, yes, my kid has definitely watched Frozen on repeat 6 times. And then through the language, you say, if you put let it go on repeat, you can fill out the census with 2 times, right? It's fun language that gets people involved and they say, they understand me. So how can you relate to your audience right now? How can you humanize it? How can you provide that value? And then reach out on different channels depending on your audience. So maybe you're talking to high value donors. Oh, and here's my Malo. Let me let him out really quick, guys. There you go. Gotta love a 4-month-old puppy. Maybe we'll show him here towards the end. Sorry about that, guys. This is what true life is at home. This is what you just gotta go with, right? Whether there's kids scurrying across the screen, it's all good. There was one video I watched where a friend of mine's kid popped in and she was like, what's HR? And just started asking all these funny questions. Anywho, so reach out using different channels dependent on the audience. So if you have high value donors, maybe that's an individual touch base. Maybe the next tier, you do a Zoom call to your top 50 donors to explain what's going on, and it's a little bit more in depth. Then maybe you do a broad public to everybody. There's also, this is what social is great for. On Instagram, you can literally individually DM, message, or send an audio message to all of your followers. So a great thing is, have you said thank you recently? You can do a quick DM, and the brilliant thing about audio is it's quick, and you can say somebody's name. So I could go on there really quickly in audio and say, hey, Dana, thanks so much for being a supporter. This is what's going on. For any information, go check out our website, right? Any of that specific call to action that you might have. Following down the pyramid, partner up. This is such a great time to collaborate with others. So think about what are some businesses, what are some other nonprofits, individuals that you can collaborate with. Tell the world. Social ads right now, because a lot of brick and mortar companies have been spending less, you can have more reach. and show up, engage. If you're just pushing out content into the universe, that's not doing anything. You have to respond to the comments. You have to get in there, engage with your followers. Go into your followers page and start liking what they're doing. Talk to them. Social media, if you guys remember, and you remember the movie with Mark Zuckerberg, was a social network. It's a network. You're supposed to be communicating with each other. It's not supposed to be just a push and hope somebody sees it. So a couple examples. Brave Gowns. So this is an organization based here in Los Angeles, and Summer's the founder. And originally, they create these custom, super cute gowns for kids who are in the hospital. They quickly pivoted. I own 2 of these. They quickly pivoted to create masks. Now, what happened with them was they did this right at the beginning of when the pandemic happened. So they're a small team, and it got crazy. But what she did, and what was so brilliant and speaks to humanizing her message, she sent out these super transparent, authentic, honest emails that you could tell. She's like, I'm exhausted. We are up this many hours. We're trying to get to you. We're so sorry it took so long. I just flew to Atlanta last week. So if you guys have questions about flying and traveling, I can also let you know about that. And I told her, I was like, look, very kindly, I was like, we ordered these about a month ago. We're flying, would love to really wear them in support of you guys. They got back to me, asked me for my order number, and made it happen, all through Instagram DM. So this is just the power of communication, people listening, a response. And then we put them on, I took a photo, I tagged them, and they shared it on their Instagram profile. Another example of messaging. So Children's Miracle Network, this again was at the beginning of when this all happened, but this was a photo that they've already had. So they're repurposing content. And they decided to use the hashtag #StayingHome4, and they made it relevant to their organization. I'm gonna play this video really quick. So this is Movember. So Movember during Giving Tuesday now, instead of asking for funds, they asked for 5 minutes. One of their causes that they touch on is suicide awareness and mental health. A lot of people are saying mental health is going to be the second wave of this pandemic, or a second pandemic. And so they wanted to put out content and resources to help bridge that gap. The copy on the left-hand side is from this post for the video. And what you see is this copy is not corporate sounding, right? At the bottom, this isn't the time for a stiff upper lip. It's time to rally together. You know what I mean? It's in their personal brand, and it's something that makes sense for their audience. So in terms of messaging, I think it's also really important when we're looking to ask for funds that we're very specific. So a lot of people have been thinking about too in the nonprofit space, should I ask for funds or should I not? And what I always like to throw out there is, have you heard any business that has asked you to stop buying their products? No. No one wants you to stop buying their products. It's the same thing. You are helping to serve humanity in whatever your nonprofit does. You are helping someone or an animal or in the environment. These are important things. This work does not stop. Your team does not stop. You are a business. So what I like to think about in the nonprofits I've seen being really successful is selecting one thing to fundraise for. And I call it a single issue message that all of your messaging centers around. So what do I mean? IJM is International Justice Mission, and they have a concept called being a freedom partner. So this is their monthly giving program. So if you give $24 over 12 months and 24 people give that amount, that is one rescue mission. What's so good about this is I can visualize it. There's so many stories they can tell about this. It's a very small number that's specific. Similarly, news story, they just did a campaign about a month ago, and they called it so brilliant, called The Neighborhood. So their goal was, we wanted to support 200 families in paying for rent each month. Average rent is $1,000. So the first graphic on the upper left-hand side is saying the neighborhood is open. Be one of the first members. About 7 days later, on the bottom, this graphic, really fun with the little dots, they had already funded 150 families out of 200. So they created a really simple graphic to let you know where they are. They funded 3 months of rent, and they did that in 7 days. Very specific. All of their messaging was around this. So again, another thing in the chat, what could be your single issue message? I'm gonna put 2 minutes on. So think about one thing. If you have a ton of different programs, what is one thing that you can create an impact goal for with an amount? So it could be something similar to IJM where it's a specific number that equals something greater. Same thing with news story. And I'll actually give you, I think it might be further down the line. So I'll give you an example of this too. So what could be your single issue message? Awesome, Mary says scholarship. So Mary, I would say, what is the cost of that scholarship? And then how could you break that down to how many donors equals a scholarship? So on a piece of paper or in the chat, let me know what would be your single issue message. And actually, while you're brainstorming that, I think I might go a little bit out of order, but I want to show you an example. So if you guys can still see my screen, earlier, was it this month? I think it might have been this month. So Dressember is an organization based in LA, and they support victims of human trafficking. They had a virtual 5K. So they transitioned their 5K to be virtual. I signed up. This is using Fundraise as a CRM fundraising platform for peer-to-peer fundraising. So I created my page, and what's brilliant about Fundraise is it integrates with Facebook. So when I create my page, I can decide if I want to create a Facebook fundraiser. It prompts me. So I said yes. So immediately my goal and their image popped over to Facebook. Now what Dressember does, which is great, talking about a single issue goal, is down here they list exactly what dollar amounts equal an impact goal. So I saw this one, because this also helps me decide how much should I make my goal to fundraise for this virtual 5K. Because a lot of times as a donor, you're left thinking, I don't know. And then if I put too much and I didn't reach it, I feel like I failed. So you want something that's attainable and something that makes it easy for you to message. So I saw $320 of aftercare services. So this literally says $320 could pay for 8 hours of therapy for one individual. I can see that. I get it. I understand the impact. That's so important. So that's what I did. I said $320, 8 hours of therapy for a survivor. And then what I did is on my Facebook page, as I was getting ready for my run, for my virtual 5K, I did a Facebook Live.
Good morning.
This is me walking with my fiance. I had my virtual 5K, my bib that I made. And all I did was started talking about, and you can sync your Facebook Live to your fundraiser as you see on the right-hand side. This shows you my total, but I went live, you guys. Do you see this total? For 6 minutes. In 6 minutes, I raised over $150. Because what I said to people was, I knew my goal was $320. I said I wanted 32 people to give $10. I made it very specific. I had one thing to talk about. And then what I did is I went live again at the end of my run, raised another $150. By the end of, and my run took me 30 minutes. So within 1 hour, I had reached $427. So I raised over my goal. And then I did a thank you. So I did another thank you video inside of my fundraiser. But this is, again, they provided me with the ammunition that I needed to help them be successful. And then now, because it's peer-to-peer, I think I had 19 donors. So they now have 19 new donors that know about Dressember that didn't before, that gave. And because these two, because Facebook and Fundraise connect, they now have their donor information to retarget. So sorry I went a little bit out of order, but I think that could be really helpful for a specific example. This is great. Christopher, 600 bike lights to give out to a number of people, 11 each pair. That's awesome. Love that. Awesome. You can do so many cool visual things with that. Joy jars. Yes, $30 each. Exactly what I'm talking about, you guys. That's perfect. I'm going to go back to presenting this. Awesome. So now transitioning a bit into events online. So 2 examples on this screen. Jimmy Fallon, right, completely transitioned his show. He had his wife as a cameraman, right? This doesn't have to be high tech. His kids are running around. Unseen is a nonprofit organization that I've worked with before, and they had me on as a guest. They said, Dana, will you talk to us about what's going on in social? And I provided them with a tool called StreamYard, which I'll send you guys a link for, that allows you to have up to 6 people do an interview on screen. You can have logos, you can have branding. This is great for doing any virtual galas or events. We talked about that one. And then something that's super important that ties into your virtual events, and a lot of people are asking about, is sponsors. How do you get sponsors? So I think this is the time where businesses need you as much as you need them. There's a study going on by Do Something Strategic with the Gen Z demo. And that generation is watching super closely to see what businesses are doing during this time. Are they doing enough? What are they doing? Who are they partnering with? So what I've done is I've put together, if you go to, I'm going to come out of here again, on the top of my website, so this is positiveequation.com, there's a free guide. So if you put your first name and your email address, immediately it'll pop up this PDF. And what I've put together and what I recommend brainstorming is something called a co-branded digital series. Now, this is something fancy wording, but all it is you're putting together a series of either live or previously recorded video content and putting a sponsor on it. So that's what something like StreamYard allows you to do. This worksheet, it explains the why of what exactly I'm talking about. It talks about the how. So this gives you a specific information what I talked about with that study. So it says 89% say COVID has impacted their purchasing decisions, with 58% having a significant impact in paying attention to how brands are responding to the crisis. 23% have stopped purchasing from a brand because they are not taking enough action, right? So this is the point of, this is the time to be creative. People are home, they want to do new things. So this really breaks it down into how you identify your audience, right? What do they want? Who do they want you to partner with? What does a content series look like? So Dress for Success, I was just talking to them about this. So they work with women on being financially independent. So we talked about, they could do a content series on finances. They could do a content series on Zoom interviews, how to dress, how to style yourself. They could do one with female entrepreneurs on starting a business. And then they say, okay, if we did a finance series, who could we get as a sponsor to back that with us? Because then the second part of this is thinking about, how do we create the total cost of our sponsorship and how do we break that down, right? This is a time for you to put ads into that, think about what the equipment would be, and you wrap all those costs into a sponsorship. So I know I'm going through this super quick, but if you download, and then I have a sample outreach email for somebody that you have worked with before in this case. So this literally lists how you would reach out to them and pitch the new idea. So let me know in the chat, is this resonating with anybody? Let me know if this is making sense to you guys. Oh, I keep hitting that other button. There we go. Awesome. Yes. Love it. So this is where honestly you can get so creative. And what it does too is before, yes, I love it. If you didn't have a budget before to do some cool content or maybe hire an editor, that's what you put in that budget. Because let's just say for Dress for Success, let's say they partner with Chase because they have a relationship with that bank and they want to reach women between a specific age range. Then you can say, great, because you want X quality of content, then we're going to put in this budget line item. And that all wraps together as your sponsorship. So these are, I'm just looking at time. And then Dana, you let me know if I'm teetering here. These are a ton of tools, and I'm going to put all the links in the chat for you guys. StreamYard, I use it multiple times per week. Let me go ahead and pull it up here. So I'm going to give you links to all of these things. So StreamYard allows you to do live streaming simultaneously on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, your website. You can embed, so you could be live in like 5 different places if you want, if that's where your audience is. This also allows you for a sponsor to say, hey, we can be live on your page too. So you can have the live look native on Chase's page and Dress for Success page. Sling Studio is great for once we're starting to get people back. Here, and I'm going to send these links. Once people are starting to go back in person, but maybe it's limited, you can have the Sling Studio allows you to connect multiple cameras. So we would use this with American Idol. Sounds complicated, but it's not. The investment's about $1,000, but then you can use it forever. So you can have, and it connects to iPhones. So you can have like 3 different iPhones in a room and you're producing your own mini segment. People Map is incredible for creating influencer campaigns on Instagram, $20 a month. StreamYard is also $20 a month. Rev.com, captions are so important on video content. I cannot stress that enough. So Rev.com allows you to upload a video. There's a minimal fee per minute, and they create the file that you need to upload to Facebook. Canva is what this whole presentation was built in. If you're not familiar with it, it's an amazing tool for nonprofits to create graphics and presentations and Zoom backgrounds and everything nowadays. Majesto for video editing. Unsplash, because right now we're so limited in going out into the field and creating new content, they have beautiful free imagery that's not like Shutterstock can sometimes look a little bit tacky. Unsplash gives you a very authentic, fresh from actual photographers. 32 auctions for a virtual silent auction, and CoinUp. So if you're familiar with Acorns, which is an investment app where you put in your bank account or credit card, and any purchase you make, it rounds up to an investment. CoinUp is the exact same thing, but for nonprofits. So anytime I go and swipe my card online or in person, the change gets rounded up to a nonprofit I choose. And I think right now they're providing $10 for every new donor. So if you sign up as a nonprofit to CoinUp, so they're awesome. And I know I'm flying past these, you guys. So I love to build community. So this is something we actually did with the census group to allow questions to come in. So on Facebook, I have a group called Nonprofit Social Media Marketers. So if you want to join that, I love brainstorming ideas. I try and put videos there, any type of content just to help everybody. And this is how I work. So I do custom workshops, consulting calls, and then have a bunch of online resources. So you can reach out to me at dana@positiveequation.com or on social media. And thanks, Christine. So I'd love to take any questions. Oh, and before, so Lisa, because everybody needs some positivity in their life, guys, this is now where I'm getting married. So this is in South Carolina. So this is where praying that October is okay. October 9th, you guys send all the positive vibes. But other than that, yeah, I'd love to turn it over for questions, and I'll stop sharing. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for the congrats. We hope it'll be really fun. I think everybody's ready for a party, don't you think? So yeah, any questions? And I guess, Dana, let me know, do you guys, if you want to ask questions in the chat, you can, or if, oh, Amy wants to say, Malo, come here. Oh, and we named him Malo. I know in Spanish, Malo means bad. We got engaged in St. Malo in France, if anybody else is thinking, why is her dog named Malo? So that's why he's named Malo. Come here. Come here. There he comes. Come on. Good boy. He is he's a mini Labradoodle. But this is Malo. He's now not so mini. Well, he's 17 pounds now, but he was 5 pounds when we got him. Let's go. Yeah.
Well, he's precious.
He's the best. Guys, getting a dog during this pandemic has been literally the best decision. And he's like dipped in paint. So yeah, I'd love any questions. Whether you want to come on audio or video or in the chat. And also you can feel free to ping me offline if you want to brainstorm.
Yeah, while we're seeing if any questions come through, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to say thank you so much. That information was incredible. I think there's a lot of comments in the chat to the same effect. So that's really amazing. Y'all, if you want to take a few minutes to do questions, you can unmute yourself and ask. You can do them by chat. If you want to send them by chat later as you think of them, let us know. Dana, I know that there were a lot of questions about making sure that people can get the information from the presentation. So just to reiterate, you are going to send us the information that's available in those slides and we can share that out, right?
Yes. Yep. I just put a link in there for the Facebook group. I saw that was a question. I would love people to join the group. It's better when there's more community and to be active in there. Yes, awesome. I will definitely send and then, yeah, the download's the best because it literally hopefully serves as a step-by-step guide. And I love to hear, and that's part of the panel discussion here shortly, but what's been working for you guys. That's also, I mean, what I do is only as helpful as the research and hearing back from the community. So I love seeing these things in action.
Fantastic.
So, could I explain kind of what we're doing at the garden?
Hi, Ann.
Hi. Yeah, so the garden looks so beautiful this year because of the rain, and the flowers are just gorgeous and looked as beautiful as Monet's garden. So we're doing an art competition, and we've invited artists from all over Laguna Beach and elsewhere to come and paint and then submit their drawings for a competition, which will be handled online. And so we'll sell everybody's work, and they have the choice of either donating the entire amount or 50% to help the artists if they need it. So that's what we're doing.
Amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. I would love to. So will people be coming during specific timeframes? How are you organizing that?
No, everybody gets the garden is closed to the general public right now because of the pandemic, but we're allowing the artists to go in, so they get a little tag that says they're a registered artist, and they can come whenever they want, and they just have to agree to be socially distant and have their masks on. But they're not all going to come at once, so it'll be fine.
I would say if you can socially distance this, obviously, or ask them to do it, to live stream while they're painting.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Do it from your page. It's such a peaceful, everybody needs some sort of, it's like meditation.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love it. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
I saw a question from Natalie Adams. How do you feel LinkedIn should be used for organizations? I think it's really based upon your specific organization and who you're trying to reach. Does it make sense for, LinkedIn's great for targeting specific professionals, right? That's the main point. You go to LinkedIn for work resources, for hiring. I also think now I have a blog post up about what are the questions to ask someone if you're looking to hire somebody in a digital position. I just think, yeah, it's dependent upon what your specific needs might be. Craig is asking if on the same virtual fundraiser, we initially send a mailer and we'll follow it up with an email piece, how long between the two would you suggest? I don't know. Well, it'll probably hit everybody's mail at a different time, I would assume. But I would say, as long as I would just make sure your email communication is super authentic. I don't know about if the timing matters. I'm also a big component. If you use something like StreamYard, you can schedule your live. And so you can have that link ready to go for people to set a reminder to join for however, I think it's up to 7 days in advance with StreamYard. I don't know. I don't know if Dana, if you guys have a opinion on that, but the length between the two, I don't know. I think nowadays, I don't know. There's so much content happening that I think you just have to make sure that what you're putting together is really attractive to people and gets them involved. Craig, I don't know. Let me know if that helps you at all. I feel like I gave you a wonky answer, but Allison, when you live stream a virtual event across multiple platforms like StreamYard, does this require more bandwidth than live streaming on one platform? Great question. No, StreamYard takes care of that for you. We are contemplating whether to do this for our annual summit series, which starts next Friday. Yes, do it. Do it. There's so many awesome things you can do with StreamYard. I've used it with multiple clients, and how you can produce it. It gives it movement. You can bring people on, take them off. You can add video content, lower thirds, banners, it's actually really fun when you get in there. And all it takes is you just got to play around with it. Okay, I'm gonna copy and paste your link, Allison, so I can look at this once we get off of your sponsors. Yeah, I think now's the time to be really creative with sponsors. I was talking to an organization a couple of weeks ago, and they had a fear of what are we going to do with all of our sponsors? And they normally get a dinner, and they normally get their name on a poster board. And I asked them, I was like, have you asked them what they actually care about? Do they care about being on a poster? Or do they care about the impact that your organization is doing? What's interesting with all the live events being canceled is live events are expensive. Can anybody hear me on that? They are expensive. So virtually, it gives you the ability where maybe you don't raise as much money, or maybe you do, but you're not having to have all of that overhead cost to make the event happen. So it's interesting of what I've seen in the space. So I would say ask your sponsors what's important to them and fun ways that you can get them involved. Sandy, any quick suggestions for nonprofits that do not provide a service? We are a policy advocacy organization which provides indirect services to cross-sector organizations. I would say shoot me a note in the Facebook group. I think I just need more information, because I would say quick suggestion on what, right? It depends. It goes back to your goals. It goes back to your business objectives, and then what digital strategies make sense based upon what you're trying to achieve. Oh, I love this question. What microphone do you have? Okay, so this is, I'll put it in the chat. This is called the Yeti, blue Yeti, although mine's red. You can pick a different color. And I don't even know if I got more clear, but this is great if you do any online interviews like we're doing right now. It makes, hopefully I sound super crisp. It's great for podcasts. And on, I don't know what side it's on. On this side, you can change it if you, when we're back to having two-way conversations, if I had somebody across from me, it picks up both of our direct audio. So you can change where you want the sound to come from. I'll share an Amazon link to that. It's a little pricey, but then you have it forever. And it connects to my setup is it connects to my desk so that it makes it really simple to use. And then the trick too, if you're doing live streams, hopefully I look really clear to you guys and I don't have a lot of kind of noise, right? It gets really pixelated, is getting a light. I'm using my MacBook Pro. I'm not using a webcam. The magic of having clear screens isn't necessarily your camera, but it's utilizing the right amount of light. So I have kind of a crazy light, but you can get a very simple ring light also on Amazon.
I highly recommend the Yeti as well.
Yes, I love it. Yes.
Yeah, well, if I could just take a minute. My name is Anthony Small. I'm the executive director of Music Preserves Foundation, and we we're partnered with the Capistrano Unified School District in supplementing U.S. history with American music history. And we also take kids backstage at the festivals to meet the headlining artists and sit down and have these inspirational conversations, not the quick sign a CD and follow your dreams kid kind of thing. So right now we're transitioning our in-class programs to online. And in the interim, the district came to me and said, what can you come up with for the, supplemental programs, I guess. And so we did something very similar to taking the kids backstage. I do an artist spotlight, interview a touring artist, and then feature a student video at the end. And they wanted to keep it simple. I did get Blue Microphones to be a sponsor, but now that we have, episodes that are being viewed by 2,000 people or something, now I feel that I can take that to get a significant sponsor and then produce it under the Music Preserves. It's pretty good under the Music Preserves banner, but yeah, it's just those two transitions is what we're trying to do, at this time, just to help people keep sane. So I just wanted to thank you guys very much and thank Charitable Ventures as well for putting these kind of things on. It's good to connect.
That's awesome. That's such a great point too, that having just a proof of concept where you can go to a sponsor and say, hey, we've been doing these, they're successful, but imagine what we could do together.
Yeah. So
that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
All right, guys, we have hit the 10 o'clock mark. So if it's okay with all of you, I'd like to go ahead and pivot to introducing the panelists. And then once they have a moment to introduce themselves and tell you about their event, then we can resume the question and answer with all four of our speakers. So if it's okay with y'all, let me see about sharing this screen again. I know I didn't do too well with that last time, but here we go. Okay, can we all see the agenda screen now? Okay, great. Okay, so then what I'm gonna do, I won't spend too much time doing the introductions of our panel because I want them to be able to do that themselves and tell you about their events. But we have Vitana from the Cambodian family, Sarah from representing Discovery Cube LA, who also works with us at Charitable Ventures, and Tracy with Project Hope Alliance. So panelists, if it's okay with you, please feel free to turn on your videos and microphones at this point, and we'll just go in that order. So Vitana, if you want to take it away, spend a few minutes telling people who you are and what your recent experience is with virtual events. And I will, since my screen is shared, I will share the photographs that you sent as well.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me well?
Yes.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Vatana Peng. I'm the Executive Director of the Cambodian Family Community Center based in Santa Ana. I hope everyone is doing well and staying healthy as well. First of all, just want to thank for the opportunity to be one of the panelists. I'm here to share with you all regarding my experiences hosting 2 recent virtual events, which I have not done like this before. And this pandemic has really given me and my team at the Cambodian family a lot of opportunities to be creative and to become better in using technology. The first event that I want to share with you is the virtual Cambodian New Year celebrations. Dina, if you can pull out that photo. So it's in partnership with many community partners across the country. I think that is a different one.
Yeah. This one?
Yes, correct. Yeah, so we usually celebrate New Year with about 200 to 300 community members in Orange County over 3 days around the middle of April in person. As you all know, however, this year our community could not physically gather for the New Year. It is so sad for our community. And this has been our tradition for over 40 years in the first wave of the Cambodian refugee resettled in Orange County in the 80s. And this is such an important cultural event for our Cambodian community to bring unity and wellness to our community. And I was wondering like, oh my God, how could I do that? This is such an important event. We don't really have enough technology capacity to do that. We are the direct services provider where we do mental health, counseling, diabetes education, breast cancer, to after school youth program, to immigration related services. And those are direct services. And we like to host in-person event that is how our community have been able to do for the past 40 years. So my team and I, we did some discussion and reach out to our community partners throughout the country. And we were able to host the New Year event over Zoom for 3 days. And as you can see on the flyer, it just takes a village to do that. And the event was very successful. There were a lot of activity ranging from blessing from the Buddhist monk, cultural performances, and to uplifting the spirit of our community during these difficult times. And also it was very interesting. The virtual event has brought in so many generations together. So it was a kind of like intergenerational approach where our first generation, we call 1.5 generation, and second generation of Cambodian Americans coming together to host this event through Zoom. And we were so proud of the success. And the second virtual event that I would like to share was the virtual fundraising event. Dana, if you can move to the following pictures. Yeah. So the event where we were selected by the National Asian American Community Foundation for a matching grant of $5,000 in April. And it was about a 3-week window period to raise that fund. So as you all have already experienced, there have been lots of uncertainties, concerns among community members regarding COVID-19 and its impact. And that's back to Dana earlier mentioned that what is your goal? So that is our goal, to first understand about what are the needs in the community. So we have learned about the community struggle related to housing and rental assistance, food access, depression and anxiety, and more. So what we did is that our organization started to provide direct services remotely since March 16. And for us, it is important to better understand the needs and concerns of our community during COVID-19. So from March 16 to April 9, as you can see on the chart, our staff who provided direct services remotely had conducted about 970 check-in calls with our client. And each call, we asked our clients what their #1 need and concern were. And from that, we learned so much about the needs, which had actually given us a clearer picture of what our ask would be for the funders. So we wanted to go to our funder with a clear goal of what we're trying to do. So that is the chart we put together. We understand the need. So we have seen, for example, a 50% increase in medical and food stamp application. And we have seen a 500% increase in unemployment application assistance because a lot of our clients work for assembly companies in Irvine, where they had been laying off a lot of people for the past 8 weeks. And a lot of our community members are either limited English or monolingual, so it was really hard for them to navigate the EDD website and fill out those information. So they came to us, so we were trying to meet our grant deliverable and also responding to these emergency needs. And the question at that time was that, how do we as an organization respond to these emergency needs and other increasing needs? Since the vast majority of our grants, as you know, all know in the nonprofit, are restricted, right? So you can only do this with this money, you can do this with that. How do we direct the funding? How do we address the emergency that were not part of the grant that we proposed? And then it was just like, how do we approach the funder to direct some of the unrestricted fund to cover those needs? And we believe that it might take time, it might go through a budget modification process, and these are the emergency need of our community. So my team and I, we continue to discuss, and luckily back in early March, we hosted a site visit from one of our community foundation, and they said that, Batana, if you need anything, please let us know. And I take that word for it. I said, yes, now we found a place, so we have the need. We know the donor that we can approach, so we approached the National Asian American Community Foundation, and then they selected us with a few more other organizations for a 5,000 matching grant in April. And then if you can show that flyer, that would be great. So it takes, again, a village for us to get this done. And for me, I have barely used a virtual fundraising platform before. You know, we've been doing grant writing, we've been doing gala dinner, all of that. And so it's pretty new to me as an executive director as well. So I was really thankful to my team who have figured out the development of the fundraising materials and platform. Like Dana said, what is Canva? I was not really familiar, but my team said, yeah, I know about it. Let me help you. I said, okay, let's put it together. And then can we send out email blasts? Yeah, we do that. Can we do a fundraising Facebook? Yes, let's do that. So we kind of like, I wish I could have met Dana before and that I can put all these strategy together, but now we kind of like scrambling and try to get it pushed out because the matching grant is only in April. That's what the funder invite us to do. And then one of the successful things that I wanted to share is we kindly asked our staff to see if they could share our fundraising campaign on their personal Facebook and raise the fund for the Cambodian family. And they were very happy to do that as they saw the need because they were the one who provide direct services to the community. They hear, they conducted phone calls, they do all the things to support the community. And we were so impressed with that. We raised about $1,000 through staff and friend Facebook account. So that they come together and do that. And in addition, we were able to have donors who work for corporates where they have an employee matching program. So one of the donors reached out to us and said, hey, Cambodian family, we would like to donate $1,000 and my Boeing company will donate a match up grant to another $1,000. So you will get $2,000. So just want to let you know. And we're so grateful. And we kind of like know about it, but we didn't really take the opportunity to really study more about that. But we were so grateful for that. And our fundraising was very successful. We exceeded our goal by raising $5,300 from 39 donors. And that is like, wow, you know, with all the technology challenges and all the, you know, what's going on in our community, we were able to raise this fund and actually really motivated me to do more. So I'm right now, my team and I, we are doing one more fundraising in May because we like bought to it. So we're doing another one fundraising online as well. And well, we also doing another collaborative partnership with the Love Our Vulnerable and Elderly project, which is a partnership among nonprofits serving Asian and Pacific Islander community to serve Asian American senior and other vulnerable population in Orange County. And we are raising $50,000 online as well to get some donations, supply and food to provide about 2,000 dry food and care packages to our senior in Orange County. So it's like a hook for me. Like right now, I'm so excited for the first one that was really successful. And now I'm running to 2 additional fundraising online campaign as well. And that is just some experiences from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natana. That's amazing. Okay, next up, we're gonna have Sarah. And Sarah, I believe that you can share your screen if you would like to, so just let me know and I'll stop this one.
Hi everyone, I don't have a screen to share. I'm just gonna kind of rattle off a couple things that have been successful with moving our virtual gala online. But first of all, I just want to thank Charitable Ventures for hosting this timely webinar. As Dana mentioned, my name's Sarah and I'm the Development Director for Discovery Cube LA. And for those of you who don't know, we have science centers across Southern California and Santa Ana, Los Angeles, and Newport Beach. And I'm guessing that most of you are familiar with the one in Orange County, the original site off Main Street in Santa Ana. And, you know, now that that's kind of out of the way, one of the things that I do want to share that's inspired me in the last couple of weeks is that this quote, when it's obvious that goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, adjust your action steps. And that's really what we've been doing with our fundraising work over the last 8 weeks. And a quick shout out to all of the frontline fundraisers who are taking the time to be on this webinar. I see you, I hear you, and I want to talk really directly to those of you who are really working on your donor base right now. Things have changed for all of us, and the reality is that COVID-19 has increased our demand for our communities, and you can still reach your goals with adjusting some of those action steps. The Discovery Cube LA Gala was scheduled to take place on March 14th, and we canceled. We had to cancel within days of leading up to the event. That particular event is 30% of our fundraising goal. And I was devastated when we had to cancel because I knew what that meant for our organization. But again, we didn't have to change our goal. We just kind of changed some of the action steps to deliver that. And we were able to actually net $30,000 above our budgeted goal by pressing forward with a virtual silent auction. Looking back, I believe there are 3 things that made that event successful. And I'm going to summarize quickly for time, but feel free to reach out to me directly or through the chat. One is that we leveraged our board and gala committee members to spread the message of the virtual gala. We ghost wrote all the emails, all the copy for our board members and committee members to actually send to their friends and who they would have invited to be their table guests. We also asked our corporate partners to spread the news to their employee networks to push out emails. And for those of them who couldn't email their workforce, we asked them to post to LinkedIn and to Facebook, again, providing all of that copy for them so that we could make it easy for them to post. The second thing that we did is that we still called and secured our major event donors who typically and historically raise the paddle at those events. We all know as fundraisers, you have to call your top donors who are going to influence, inspire, and even nudge or compete with other donors in the room. And we still made those calls to count on their support. So I really encourage you to do that and still make a personal connection if you're moving your event online. And the last thing we did is we really doubled down on the communication. We used videos to highlight mission moments. We used our honoree videos and pushed them out in email communication. And those videos really came in handy because they were able to be repurposed to post on social media, to push out their email messages. And then depending on what kind of virtual auction platform you use, this is really where you can leverage the technology. We made it necessary for donors to provide emails and cell phone numbers to log in just to view the auction item details. Bidders could tag the items that they were interested in. And so when they were outbid, they would get a text notification to place a higher bid. Just for a quick example, previously we always have some sort of wine package available at our auctions for our galas. And typically those go for about $200 at our in-person events. But with the text notification of how it was set up, we were able to engage donors, and our wine cases actually went for $500 a piece at our auction. And that was kind of similar throughout the different items that we had on our platform. So in closing, use your board to help you fundraise for your virtual event. Call your major donors who have the ability to influence others through your social media networks, and leverage your fundraising platforms for your upcoming virtual events. And despite the current circumstances, I really found out that people and organizations still want to support you and they want to support your mission. The money is still there. And we were able to make our event goals. And so I want to encourage you that you can do the same with just adjusting some of your event action steps.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, Tracy, you're up.
Good morning, everybody. Sarah, thank you for saying you see and hear all the frontline fundraisers. I think that that's so key right now. We're all in this together, figuring things out, pivoting quickly. At Project Hope Alliance, quick overview. We serve kids and youth experiencing homelessness. We partner with schools to do that. So the kids come to school. We know that the kids show up there. So that's where we meet the kids. We serve kindergarten through age 24. Back mapping goals of getting them to graduate high school, because if they graduate high school, they're less likely to be homeless as an adult. So each year, in terms of fundraising, we have our annual anti-gala. So we pride ourselves on that anti part, where you dress casually, you come, you drink, you still mingle with everybody, but it's low key in terms of pressure. We still have the old school raise a paddle portions and everything, but the vibe itself is very casual. And so we have the good fortune that the thing that made the biggest difference for us in this pivot to virtual fundraising is we had the good fortune of having conversations as early as February around COVID. We had a couple board members who kind of alerted us to it. We also have a principal on our school, on our board that said, hey, like things are coming down the pipeline, that schools are going to close and whatnot. So first and foremost, we had to make a program pivot. And so the fundraising team listened to how program was going to be pivoting because that's going to identify our needs. To Dana's points earlier, you have to know what your needs and your goals are, right? So once we found that out, we made the decision before the stay-at-home order even came. The most important thing we did before planning, in addition to Sarah's point of talking to our major donors who we knew would already be giving at the event, is we did like a listening tour for about a week. People want to provide insight and feedback, and they have insight and feedback. So we called fellow nonprofit partners. I was on the phone with Nicole over at Goodwill, Harold at Second Harvest, where we were hosting, and we were talking about what they were doing too, because you also want to be in the same wave of the community, right? So that we had the good fortune. We made the decision March 1st officially. We took about half a day as a development team to mourn the loss of the event. We had stilt walkers, we had a tent. It was going to be Carnival of Hope. And so what we did is we laid out our strategy on the board, quite literally a whiteboard, and we took things and we said, what can we digitalize? And how are we going to communicate these same things? The first thing we knew off the bat was the people who come to our event are likely not the ones going to be engaged in social media. And I think it's important to make that distinction and identify who your audiences are, because the ones who are raising a paddle at $25, $50, $100,000 actually don't have an Instagram for the most part. So so we separated kind of our strategies. So we had what I called an old school strategy and a new school strategy. So we have the pick up the phone, email, call major donors, and we also have the social media. So to Dana's point earlier, I wanted to show Charitable Ventures. Dana, is it okay if I share my screen? Okay. I wanted to show you guys, we kind of followed 3 patterns throughout our campaign. The first one was inform. So we wanted to keep everybody informed about what we were doing on the program side of things. We wanted people to feel like they knew what we were doing. They knew how we pivoted. We had to go from school site-based programming to finding our kids in motels and shelters and cars and their living. So we kept a running ticker, so to speak, of our work. So on our website, we completely scrapped the normal homepage. We had a link to our Carnival of Hope. Back when it was our campaign, April 1st to April 30th, this took the majority of the homepage. But what we did is we let people know what we were doing. So even if they were just perusing the website, they could come and they knew what our work and what it was. And we changed these numbers on a weekly basis as we were out there. Then we also made calls to action, right? So it's inform, engage, and ask. And that's the layer of communication we did every week across this 4-week campaign. Sometimes the asks were for actual tangible goods, but what happened is people would go to get the list and then they'd see the information about the Carnival of Hope from home. And then we also provided policy updates, things going on in the community, how it affected our work. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop to know what's going on in our world. And then for the Carnival of Hope, we literally kept the same theme. It was important for us to keep our brand, keep the language we were using, and still make it fun. So for Carnival of Hope, this is now looking back because we closed this campaign April 30th, but we kept the same fun language. We kept who we were. We just had to switch it to digital. So it was a 4-week campaign. Following the inform, engage, and ask, we would update people, and we kept message consistent. So the CEO, Jennifer Friend, would do the updates on the program side of the house. We would engage them with either a virtual challenge online or explaining to them what the money was doing or what needs we had. The biggest needs we had was technology for our kids. Our kids don't have the Chromebooks and the Wi-Fi, so we were taking that directly to them. And then we put everything and all the updates up here. We still gave an award, and we did a parade for the award recipient this year. So a drive-by parade. We kept all the themes. We wrestled with whether we should have one culminating virtual event where people sign on and are present. We opted not to do that because we wanted no ego in the fact that everybody is going through this pandemic, right? So everybody's stressed. So we took it upon ourselves to bring the information to them and over communicate. I will say the biggest thing that helped us through this was those initial conversations with stakeholders. The biggest stakeholder that came in to help us was the CEO of Ytel, Nick Newsom, which is a tech service platform here in Orange County. He's been one of our steady and loyal donors. He comes to our event. So when I hit him up for actual money, he was like, why don't I help you guys actually build a text to donate platform? So that was a whole new audience for us. So we had the social media where we met over 100 new donors, and then we have the old school, but the text platform allowed us to be personalized about it. So it feels like you're getting a text directly from me or directly from one of our team members. And we were on it 24/7. People were texting, when are you announcing the winner for this week? And we would text right back like, hey, Dana, thanks for being involved. We're doing it on Friday at noon. Stay tuned. It was very personalized, and it was super easy, the platform. I can't recommend Ytel enough if any of you need that type of support. And so at the end of the campaign, between our old school approach and our new school approach, we raised over $400,000. And we typically bring in about 500 at the event. So we are incredibly happy with those results. And I am summarizing super quickly in the amount of time, but I'm happy to talk offline, either on program side pivots and or fundraising. So yes, I think that's the super lightning round.
That was fantastic. Thank you very much to all three of our panelists. That is incredible information. It ties in so well with the things that we were learning from Dana. Guys, the chat feature is still open. I know we only have a few minutes left, but if you have questions, please feel free to either ask by video or chat. While we wait on some of those questions to come in, I would like to let you all know that we will send out a survey afterwards. We would love it if you would fill that out for us. It helps us get more ideas about what content works for you, what formats for the content works for you, what you would like to see more of. You know, this has been incredibly successful, although I will say there have been some hiccups on my side because it's our first virtual event. So we're definitely open to hearing opinions and questions regarding content or format. And thank you all so much for your participation. I see that Anne is asking if the presentation is available as a recording. I will see what I can do to make that available to you. It'll probably depend on the size of the file largely. And please keep the questions coming. I will let the panelists take a look at those. We will also make sure that you have everyone's contact information. And I see there's one for Tracy and Sarah, so I will let y'all handle that question.
Yeah, that is almost the $1 million question, right? So I'll just say real quickly, if we're talking about the system we actually use, we use Salesforce to track relationship management. So we stay true to the cultivation cycle of fundraising, from prospect research all the way to solicitation and engagement. So we do that within there, and we update it. There's a manager of the relationship, and we update it. And we divide the work up based on dollars amount and actual people power. And we do the best we can.
I think The thing for me, and in addition to what Tracy just mentioned, I want to highlight what Dana said in the presentation. It was focusing on a very specific ask. So you heard Tracy talk about program pivots, and Anthony share in the chat today. We have moved all of our STEM education programming online, and we had our public launch of Discovery Cube Connect yesterday. And so that has been a very key piece of like talking to all the donors about here's how we're moving. We know the Science Center is going to be closed for a while, but this is how we're still delivering our message. So that's been a key strategy, and still keeping donors engaged. And then from a CRM standpoint, we use Microsoft Dynamics to track that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And to Dana's point earlier, breaking down donations into tangible things was huge. And we learned very quickly that, we threw our sponsorship stuff up. Our sponsorship levels for an in-person event, as you guys know, who throw big ones, they're up to 50 grand. So if you put that on your webpage, people are going to come and be like, I don't have 50 grand. So that's a very small group that you're talking to. So we chose the public, anything that the greater public would see as more tangible. So it went from $50 to $250 for the ask. And we met over 100 new friends that way.
All right, everyone, we've got just one more minute. If you have any burning questions, now's the time. Well, thank you again so very, very much to our panelists and to Dana. This content is amazing. It's so timely. I know that, the audience has been engaged and really appreciative of your time. We are too. Like I said, everyone will be sending out a survey. We'll also follow up with the information that you're requesting. So in terms of what we can get you for slides and information and links and contacts, we won't leave you hanging. So thank you again. Please, silent round of applause since we're all on mute for our presenters. And, we really hope to see you next month. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.